So a game I played a lot in my childhood was a game called Zapper. It's kind of like a 3D puzzle platformer where you play as a cricket. I don't know. It's hard for me to describe what exactly kind of genre it is. Like there's platforming elements, but a lot of it is having patience and figuring out how things work, which I guess also applies to most platformers. I had trouble with this as a kid because I've never been good at platformers. Like the only platformer besides this one that I've been kind of good at is Mario 3. I played a lot of Zapper and I always kicked my butt. It always kicked my butt every time because I was bad at the game because I was a dumb kid. And what did I know about video games? I started playing it again. First few levels were kind of easy and I thought, okay, this is pretty okay. And then the platforming sections, as I kept playing, it kept getting more difficult until about like 4 or 5 levels. The last 4 or 5 levels, it just kind of felt like there was a drop off in difficulty. It just felt like it was so hard, and then all of a sudden it wasn't even difficult. It was just you had to know what to do. All the way up in the game, they're teaching you have to do this for platforming. You have to have these set of skills because it keeps getting more and more difficult with the platforming and the foggy areas of can I jump here, can I not jump here, because the way the layout is, sometimes it's difficult to tell where you can and can't jump, and sometimes if you need to use a double jump or not, just because of how ambiguous the areas can be. But I noticed as I kept progressing in the game until I reached this point, it was getting more difficult, and the puzzle solving was kind of there. Like I said, the last like 4 or 5 levels, it all of a sudden seemed like there was just this drop off, and it was like, I'm not finding this as difficult as I probably should. That really bothered me because I don't know, I just felt like if you're going to keep increasing the difficulty, you should keep it going throughout. And I kept playing, and then there was a level where it's like you're in a tunnel underwater, and that one wasn't difficult, actually. They gave you like 20 free lives or something crazy throughout the whole level, and I'm like, okay, well, this is probably preparing me for like the final battle, the final fight, because I'm probably gonna need all these lives. So I thought, okay, this is good. And then I get to the second to last level, and it's a lot of like just figuring out the timing of things, and it's like, okay, this isn't too difficult because it's just figuring out like the timing of things. It wasn't that difficult. They could have made it more difficult. So I did that. It was more tedious than anything. And then I get to the final battle. And at that point I turned off the game at the second to last level. I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna fight the final boss and I'm gonna dedicate like a long time to it because I'm thinking, this game kicked my butt, the middle portion of the game. And I know it's been letting up, but it's gonna kick my butt. Next time I get around to playing it, I'm like, okay, I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm gonna fight the final boss. I go to fight the final boss, and it's like I have no trouble whatsoever. I've defeated the boss in 5 minutes, like 5 minutes or less, or something crazy. And I'm like, what? Because this whole game was like leading up to this moment, and it was too easy. Like, if you die in the fight, it saves exactly your progress of where you were. And I get that it's the kind of game where you have to figure out the patterns of the boss, but it was too easy. During the boss fight, the boss was destroying portions of the stage that you were fighting on, but it was never like really difficult platforming. Like they could have made it way more difficult. There was one part in the stage where you needed to double jump to get across, but it was only one small section in the stage, and you didn't even have to go anywhere near it to even beat the boss. Like you could have completely avoided it, never even seen it, if you just got lucky enough to just not even look over there. I don't know, it just felt like a really big letdown because I loved this game as a kid, even though I could never get past like the third or fourth level, like the white knuckle water or whatever it's called, the one where you're like moving upstream. That one like gave me the worst difficulty as a kid. Like that one really was bad. And it's just disappointing now as an adult. I'm playing this game and it got up to the difficulty, which validated how I felt as a kid. And then all of a sudden, it just hands out free lives and is like, here you go. Just take it. Just win. You know, like, don't even try. Doesn't matter if you die during the boss fight. Just pick up right where you left off. There's like no stakes. And by this point in the game, you have at least 15 lives. I don't know. It was just so disappointing because I fought the final boss. And I'm like, okay, is there going to be another form? Is there going to be like a second form? Because, you know, final bosses sometimes have second forms. Not always, but sometimes. You know, nowadays, like, I don't know, it feels like all the time they have second forms. So I defeat her, you know, Maggie Magpie. And it's like, this is seriously it? There's no second form. There's no this was seriously the boss fight. I've been waiting like I don't know how long I've been playing this game. I've been waiting at least like 12, 13 years to beat this game. Finally beat the game. Super disappointed. I still really enjoy the game, but like I said, it was just a letdown. This was something that I tried so hard to beat as a kid that I could never do, and it's just a letdown because it's like here I am years later thinking, you know, earlier this I thought this was a really hard game, and when you get down to it, it's just persistence, I guess. And it was just a disappointment, honestly. I still like the game, but I just wish it had more challenge.